Welcome back to Nightingale's Motorcycle Restorers and Metal Finishers. We're back on the TLR 200 Hondas, and in the last video we were saying what we was doing with the frame, and if you've been watching the videos through, you'll see what we've been getting up to in general. So the engine. So we're taking the standard TLR 200 engine and we're going to be stripping it down for all the new parts and what we do to them now. So we'll just clear up a few things first. So I showed a kind of an invoice of what would go inside this engine on pricing, and I've had a few comments, which I can see why, because you've got to remember there's a couple of differences here. When you take the head and barrel off this machine and check for valves and piston and all the rest of it, you're hoping in your own mind that the kickstart shaft ratchet is still good, and if there's no play on the conrod and it went through the gears, then you would basically tidy it up and put it back together. For us, we're doing it completely different, because as I said, we build two types of bikes, the same bike, TLR 200s, but two different levels of machine, because it isn't only the frame which you've seen being altered, it's if the person comes in and has a bespoke bike built for them, we're also looking at their ability, what they ride at, and then the rear suspension, the front forks and the tuning, because you know, they can be over-tuned or not comfy unless you're capable of riding these machines at that level. So when we go back to we're doing it in the workshop, now as I said in a few videos, we're not bothered what anybody else does, but we replace everything, just about. We're replacing shafts, the gear selector shafts, the drums, the bearings, the crank, conrod, mains, everything. Piston, different head, new gaskets. And we do it because we're doing these bikes for sale, and we are a commercial business which specialises in the TLRs. And if you buy anything, you know it's been fully done internally. So we don't half do it, we replace everything. And then everything else, like your gears, if it's a standard model, we'll check everything. We might put new forks in it, in the gearbox, but the higher spec model, we're putting a different gearbox in it, a lay shaft or whatever, to close the first and second gear up. So that's another expense, another costing right the way through. So we'll go back to my view on this. Over 4, 5, 6 years listening and seeing in here people bringing bikes in to modify. Remembering this is a perfectly good engine, and we've taken out of our own import motorcycles. It doesn't smoke, it doesn't do anything, it starts straight away. Lovely. We've stripped it down to build a special. So we come back to, we're stripping it down and we're doing the bits that we know are long term, what we feel are long term reliable. Now, 5 or 6 years of listening to all this, so I've seen everything. I don't think there's nothing I haven't seen in here. I've seen different heads, I've seen different valves, I've seen different compressions, I've seen different types of pistons. The gearboxes I've seen, but that's a standard mod. It was many years ago, but it's nothing technical. We've seen different clutch modifications, and then we've had different kind of conrods and bored out to this amount. I can honestly say, and then the dreaded next bit, the bit I haven't got with all this is, you can clamp all these bits on, which in my day looking at stuff, you did one thing at a time. Or otherwise you just turn into a disaster and you can't find the original fault. And I've had some faults on these, and I've seen them in the workshop, that faults which an Honda engine shouldn't have, because these little things were bomb-proof. Simple, very simple engine, right? And the faults I've seen. Now, this is with people just clipping parts on. And what I've found is, as people get into these engines, they run out of things to build or modify. So they go with the flow and build something else, or move on to another make, till they've exhausted the channels with air filter boxes and all kinds of ridiculous things sometimes. Now the biggest bugbear I have with this is, I've seen, you get somebody who spends all this money on the crank rebuilt, bearings, everything, they bring it into you and say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, new cam, everything, valves, a lot. And then they put on a 25 quid 2-stroke carburettor, or even a power valve carburettor. I've had petrol oozing out of everywhere at seams, exhaust. I've had bores washed out with faults you can't believe on an engine. Different jetting, different boxes, and it just goes round in a big circle. Round and round. Because what happens is, for the average man who does one and probably rides it occasionally on a Sunday or only in summer, these things will go until they're totally destroyed. But we've had these things in bits with different heads, different everything on, and we've seen what's happening inside. And eventually they can fall in. It all sounds good to clip bits on, but basic engine, but it can catch you out. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip this one down. I did say when we got to the engine, a few things we check. It makes no difference on us if the kickstart shaft is lazy. The reason I'm telling you, if you just are buying one of these, is it's not the spring hidden behind the cover here. It's actually internal, so it's a full strip down, which can be a nightmare if you're not able or have anyone to do this for you. We're checking fins, just making sure what's on casings. The most important thing to us in restoration is that I noticed on a lot of the imported motorcycles, the outside casings are absolutely immaculate. And this is a big thing, because I said we're going to do this one in a Repsol type style. So I'll probably go for, in our workshops here, cannons polishing, eye gloss, super aluminium shine. We know we're doing a chrome powder coated, chrome effect powder coated frame. Then we're going to do something with the new head. The barrel, we'll probably do the casings in black, orange, or a few bits on orange. You just got to not take it over the top. So the first thing we've done is we've just inspected it. We know the engine's good, but it makes no difference at all to us, because we're ripping it down and replacing everything just about. But all these casings are nice. If you look on the internet sites at the moment, they're a fortune to buy these casings. I've seen them at £250. Aside mainly to get hold of them, maybe on the American sites. So these are fantastic. We'll be Cerakoting this, and then when we strip it down, there's a couple of other things I'll be doing. As I said, I am going for an oil coat. We've tried different pump pressures and all the rest of it, different bars of horseshoes for oil coolers. We've tested it, done it all. We've seen these things on rolling roads, different exhausts. Ridiculous when you think back to the early days. I mean, I used to work in a motorcycle shop, and I can remember these being PDI'd, brand new. And people go on about the on the cuff. We used to have one of these for 30 minutes running in a workshop, ticking over, and then it goes pop on you. And then on to send out a bullet in, and it was, you know, a bit of heat spacers down here because it was boiling the fuel in the bowls. It's old school, it's all been done, right? We're doing the modifications again for it now. So, back to the engine. Inside, what we're going to do is a little bit different, because we're ceramic coaters as well. We are going to do the piston in it. I think this piston will probably be for ourselves Cerakoted, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do inside the crankcases as well in a Cerakote, mainly to get maximum oil efficiency, because that's what we're preaching. Bigger things. Years ago on the bigger blocks and the touring cars, championship cars, and some of the big NASCAR cars, the people who tried to get the name in this kind of eye level painting, tried to get the product called Gliptal, which a lot of people remember, or still see it now. And you paint the internal casings out, a rough casting, and the oil disperses straight to the bottom, keeping the flow. And they did think they used to get foam in and everything, so it gets a bit heavy. But in this engine, we're doing it. I know it's only an engine the size of a peanut, and very, very basic, but it's having a lot of money spent on it. And we're going to follow through on the next video. We'll have it ripped down and some inspections and some of the bits we're going to do. The idea of these videos is to let you see the processes from stripping the paint off. Do we Cerakote? Do we polish? What do we do? What things are we putting on this? And in between, we'll keep you updated. I did say on the last video that we are going to do some small runs on fork legs, fork bottoms. Typical thing, they come in like this with the lacquer all eroded and everything. And there's a couple of ways we do them. We can either do them to a polished finish, like on this bike here on the fork leg bottoms, or we can do it on like a sizzle band finish, bit more original on restoration, and a lacquer on it, how it used to come. A little bit of grain in between it, just exactly how they used to come on the Hondas. So we're going to shower take these back. We're going to bring them out, and I think these ones we're actually going to do to a medium polish, a band sand, and we're going to clear coat these for the customer, put new stanchions in, new seals. Obviously in our machines we're putting new internals in and different tops. We've just bought in a tent from a gent these nice big new hubs as well, which we're going to fit onto the special build. We'll talk about them as we go through, because we'll be stripping these, polishing, new shafts, shoes, all the rest of it, and cerakoting these out into our Red Bull theme. And then what we're going to actually say is, because we're putting this onto a tubeless tyre, what rim we're putting on, and beefing these brakes up. It's funny again, because you look at it and you pick a set of hubs up, and all the way along I'm preaching about we're going to have a possibly a 400, 500, 600, 700 quid swinging arm, you know, made for us, and do it and have our own range of swinging arms. And we've got the weight of these things, so in one way it's either the swinging arm or a bit of this that needs to come off. But these hubs are for this special build. The two models would have the standard up-rated hubs on it, and nothing else on the wheels, because they are good. It's just that these bit of a follow suit again. So until the next video, in between, I say we will have a few things so you can see. The whole idea of the videos is because you ask what processes we do, so it's telling you what we're doing in the workshop, allowing you to see, and then you can ring us up and kind of what kind of costing for this, or cerakoting hubs, powder coating hubs. We like to cerakote the hubs, to be fair. We don't have any issue with spoke holes or any overlap, and we can turn them back to brand spanking new. A cerakote ceramic or an equivalent ceramic coating, petrol resistant, brake fluid resistant, again chemically dipped in our tanks, into fine blast media, and back to the customer onto a special build. So thank you very much.